Hey, Camila Gornia here. Welcome to this live stream for the Heart Behind Hustle TV. This is me, and I wanted to do a quick stream today and share some stuff with you because um, there's been a lot of entrepreneurs using a particular phrase that I think a lot of people don't really know why they're using it, or a lot of people are using it incorrectly, or a lot of people think that they should be focusing on it when they actually shouldn't be quite yet. So that phrase is scaling up. So if you have been following me from my personal brand, uh, Camila Gornia, then you know that my tagline and like stuff that I've been talking about is the blow up, scale up, right? Like my whole thing is, hey, thank you. My whole thing has been like I'm the blow up, scale up marketing strategist, business coach, right? So blowing up and scaling up has been a big thing. And I noticed that a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of coaches and experts are actually um, they're not using the term scaling up in a way that they're supposed to be using. It's actually, I think there's a lot of confusion, and it's just like this fun, trendy, sexy word that people are using without really understanding why. So, because of this, I just wanted to clear the air and really, well, clear the air. I wanted to make sure that it's cleared up for you as to what you need to be doing and why you might not be scaling your business. In fact, you're not even supposed to be scaling your business. And most entrepreneurs are totally getting this wrong. So I wanted to make sure that you feel like empowered in stepping up into the next stage because, when you lead with Heart Behind Hustle, we obviously get really excited and passionate about our things. Hey, Jessica from Panama. Hello. So it's really important that we really understand how we're stepping into these things, right? So just being excited and passionate about your business and helping people, that's going to be really great. And it's definitely going to support you in working with the clients and getting these clients results. But when it comes to being an actual entrepreneur and when it comes to actually doing the work necessary to grow the business, there's a couple of different things you need to be doing. So just as a heads up, and this is a live stream recording live stream that's happening right now. So if you're here, I'd love to hear from you and say hello. I don't know why there's like a sad crying face. That's weird. Um, so that's that. So most people are actually not ready to scale. And most people are thinking about scaling when they really should be thinking about growing instead. So before we talk about that, and you might be like, what is she even talking about? I don't understand. I want to make sure that you understand, like, what is this, right? So when it comes to like that next stage, there's two things, right? And this is where like the blow up, scale up thing kind of comes into play too. The blow up and the scale up. And the blow up is the growth, right? You're growing your business, you're getting out there in a bigger way, you're creating more revenue in your business. Scaling up is doing things a little bit more in a smart way, right? It's being able to shift and continue generating more revenue, but without necessarily expending quite as much to make it happen. Right. So those are the two differences when it comes to specific like sales, revenue, business related things. Growth is typically when you're generating more revenue, but you're also basically expending more. So it's basically happening around at the same rate, right? So as an example, growth would be you creating more private clients to work with you in your private packages as a coach or a designer, whatever it is that you do. Whenever you get more private clients, yes, your income is going to increase, right? Regardless of what your prices look like, your income is going to increase, which is great. So you're creating growth because we measure business growth very often in revenue, right? How much you're actually generating. Now, in order for you to deliver the work for those clients though, you're going to have to spend more time to actually do this work. So because of that, it's growth, right? It's growth. It's not scaling. So growth is investing more money to get more revenue. Sort of. I mean, growth is just you are generating more revenue and you're growing your business, whether it's your email list or whatever, but you're doing it in ways that are requiring you to do more work. There's nothing wrong with it, actually. And I'm going to share about that. It's a great question though, Jessica. I'm going to share a little bit more about what that means though in just a moment. But yes, that's one of the elements of that. So scaling on the other side means that you are growing your business. You're also doing all these things that I shared with generating more revenue, growing your community, doing all these things, but you're doing it in a more scalable, leverage-based way that aren't necessarily, you're being a little bit more cautious and restrictive. Maybe not restrictive is the right word, but you're not expending quite as much, right? As a very simple example to share that isn't related necessarily to coaching, but let's give an example of a brick and mortar store or maybe a studio or a salon, right? A salon, growth would happen very, very straightforward growth, right? You're getting more clients to come in to your studio, your salon. But in order for you to deliver on the work that you're getting paid for, you have to hire more, stylists or whatever, beauticians, whatever it is, right? So although the revenue is increasing, you also have to spend more money because in order to deliver on the work that is being, that's happening, that's just what has to happen. Versus scaling, you would be basically creating systems and automations potentially that will support you in leverage yourself or leverage more time so you can still generate more income, but just do it in smarter ways. So that's that. So on the very in the beginning, if you hear me say this, you might think, well, screw growth. Like, why would I even want to grow? I'm just going to scale the entire time, right? Like, you probably are thinking that right now. You're just like, thanks for clearing this up, Camila. Not growing ever. So I don't have to work more, right? But that's not exactly how that works. In order to get into the scaling, mode of your business, you have to go through growth, right? There's no business that's making no money and starts to scale, but because there's nothing to scale yet, right? So there's nothing to scale. You first need to grow. You first need to set up foundations for actually being able to generate the money, to generate the revenue, to generate the growth. And yes, it's going to take investing into the business. It's going to take investing money. It's going to take investing in time. It's going to take investing spiritual, energetically. I mean, all the things, right? We first have to go through a growth spurt in order to get to a good and steady pace. Because if you start going into scaling and automating and systemizing and making things smarter and stuff, you really don't know what to make smarter. You really don't know how to make it more optimized because you're just not there yet, because you haven't made enough sales to make it happen, right? So as an example, another example that I want to share with you, specifically for anybody that I tend to work with, which are coaches, consultants, experts, people like that. So as you probably know, I support coaches and experts in scaling their business and creating more income and impact through group coaching programs. So that's wonderful, right? There's a way for you to scale your business by starting to introduce group programs and stuff, but that's not always the case, right? So in the beginning, if somebody is brand new in their business and they're like, I want to do group programs so I can scale my business. Listen, you're not scaling anything yet. It's kind of like multiplying, because if you're starting at 0, if you multiply 0 by whatever, it's going to be 0. Right? It's just going to be 0. So you can't scale that. You can't make that be more scalable. It just doesn't make any sense. How are you going to get 5, 10, however many people to join your group program at a higher ticket if you've never worked with clients? Right? It doesn't make any sense. It's not going to happen, right? I mean, it could maybe potentially make sense, but it's just not, that's not the order of things, right? So you first have to focus on growing the business, setting the foundation, seeing what works. What do people resonate with? How are you getting clients? What are you good at in terms of getting clients? What is your specialty? That is all growth focus, growth mindset, growth stuff, right? So it's, so getting private clients, you could get into doing group programs, but they're still going to be focused on you putting the work in. I mean, it's definitely a more scalable model, especially as you have more clients and the things that you can do in the future and kind of moving on, which is something that we can talk about. But you move into the growth stuff. You're going to have to spend more time to do the work. You're going to have to figure these things out. And that's just what has to happen. Jessica says, but wouldn't you still have to spend or invest money to scale? Yes, you still have to do it. You're just not having to spend quite as much to do it. And it's not so much about investing in your business. You're always going to have to invest in your business. It's more about how much money or how much time is required to deliver on the service that you're generating the money on, right? So that's something to consider. So scaling is more about how you grow and not just growing into a bigger business. Yeah, so that's basically that. So for example, there's a lot of companies out there that are like many million of dollar companies, but yet they're like at a brink of like going into gosh, I'm looking for what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, I'm going blank right now. Not debt. Bankruptcy. Bankruptcy. I'm like, what's the word I'm looking for? Bankruptcy. There's a lot of huge businesses out there that you're like, oh my God, you have so much money, but they're like about to go bankrupt, right? Because they don't have a very smart business model. They haven't really been good at scaling things, automating things, making sure that they can like see, how much money they're expending, how much money they're making, and like doing all these things from their side, right? So that's something just to consider. Now, growth is really, really important because you do need to be at a certain revenue mark in order to like continue getting to the next level and stuff like that. And then you can start bringing in like team members, or you can start bringing in more automation. You can create different types of programs that leverage you and therefore are more scalable. You can have other people doing the coaching for you. You can do, you can do more automated in terms of Facebook ads, and you can scale that way, because scaling is also how much time you're expending to grow your coaching business versus having softwares do it for you, or like Facebook do it for you on its own, right? So that's another way. It's just a couple of different ways of looking at things that will support you in generating more, but without having to do as much input, right? So less input and more output versus equal amounts of input and output, if that makes sense. So that's important to kind of know, but it is important that you understand what stage you're at, right? So like exactly like I said before, not everyone is ready to start doing the, less input and then having more output, because it just doesn't happen that way, because you need to understand what your audience is responding to, all these different things. And in order for you to understand that, you do have to actually do it yourself. Like you can't fake being a human being, right? Like you could do all the Facebook ads in the world, which could be a really good strategy for you to like start scaling and stuff. But if you haven't ever talked to people one-on-one, if you haven't ever like gotten any clients, like it's not a very smart thing for you to do, because you don't even know what the messaging should be, because you haven't done the testing and the experimenting to make it happen, right? So you want to make sure that you're not putting the cart before the horse, and that you're actually taking the right steps. So I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge proponent of just making sure that you're being smart with the time that you're spending into your business. Like that's still important, whether you're doing the growth stuff or the scaling or whatever. But you're still being intentional with the hustle, right? You're still being intentional with it, and you're doing it with a very particular purpose. You're not doing it just because like so-and-so told you to do it and you have no idea why you're actually doing a particular task. Everything is connected to each other, and there's ways for you to make them work together so that you're maximizing the output still, right? So there's a lot of ways to make growth even more appealing, even more effective, so you can get into the scaling stuff even faster. So yeah, I just wanted to clear that up, because I think a lot of people are getting this wrong. And I think it's really important for you to understand and feel good about the fact, like, well, maybe you're not ready to start doing Facebook ads, or maybe you're not ready to start like hiring 50 bazillion people. Or maybe it's not the smartest thing for you to do necessarily, because like, something that would be better is for you to just do it yourself, because like look at the costs too. A lot, like this is a mistake that I have made in my business before, where I just hired everybody. I was just like, I'm just going to hire everyone so I don't have to do anything. And then my overhead was just like ridiculous. I mean, it's for a coaching business, right? It wasn't ridiculous compared to our like a brick and mortar company. But it was ridiculous for like what it could be. Right? So being smarter with things that are happening, is just having a really strong, like, head on your shoulders, and not going crazy when you start making a lot of money, or like a good amount of money, and thinking that you can just throw money at everything and everything is going to be fine. Because a lot of things are going to be an emotional and physical investment too. So just being aware of how exactly that looks like for you specifically, in order for you to grow and get to that next stage. So that's all I got for you. So if any of this sounds interesting, or if you feel like you're ready to start getting out there and doing more when it comes to your coaching business, and you want to amplify your income and your impact, and really support more people, but not have to work with clients one-on-one necessarily to make it happen, Then I am doing a live masterclass next week. So I would love for you to join me during that masterclass, where I'm going to basically share with you how you can bring in an additional $5,000 to $20,000 in your monthly revenue for your coaching or expert type of business, without having to work with clients one-on-one. So I'm going to share with you how that would look like. It's definitely a very good scalable model that you can then scale and create more leverage for yourself. So I'd love for you to go to heartbehindhustle.com/masterclass, or if you just go to heartbehindhustle.com, click on any on the very top of the page, you can click on that button and you can go and join for this live masterclass. It is live, so yay, we're gonna be live and hanging out together. So quick little snippet into this stuff. So thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for all the comments and thumbs up. You are awesome, and I'll make sure to see you again soon, and I'll see you during the masterclass. Thanks.